Hey guys, we got this 2017 Mitsubishi RVR. Could also be called the ASX or the Outlander Sport. And we have this shift interlock problem. So you turn the key on, you go to put it into drive, and you can't get it out of park. So you gotta pop this cover off. I think there's supposed to be a cover there. You stick something down in there like a key or something, and then you can override the shift interlock. So what we're going to do today is just replace the whole shifter assembly. Now, we've picked one up from the junkyard, and usually what goes bad is this guy right here. So this is a little motor. It's actually called a solenoid, and they call the shift interlock solenoid. So when you put your foot on the brake pedal switch sends a signal to this thing right here, which then engages to pull this lever, and it allows you to then get it out of park. But without that, you can't get it out of park. So there's a couple things that could be wrong. We're not going to go into the diagnostics. We just want to show you how to replace that. So without further ado, basically all we're going to do here is just make sure everything's sort of moved out of the road. We're going to then pull our parking brake up as far as we can get it anyways. Starting off, this whole trim piece here that goes around the shifter pops up. So you could use some trim tools if you have them, or just sneak your fingers underneath of there. We're just going to try to pop this out. And you may have to try to get this shifter back a little bit so we can sneak this off. Let's just put that into neutral. That buys us enough room. And we've got a 4-wheel drive button here. It's a little tab we depress there, and this should come off. I'm going to set that part to the side. And pretty much the center console is going to go around it. So what we're going to need looks like a Phillips screwdriver, and I'm sure in the center console, I'm going to take all of the customer's contents out first before we video, but there's probably going to be some fasteners that are down in there as well. Once we get that stuff out, I believe we should be able to get that off. Here's another trim piece here, but I believe those screws may need to come out. I don't know if those are attached. Maybe, maybe not. Nope. Okay, so that one can come off. And yeah, it looks like, I'm guessing you can see how it's overlapped. So this whole storage armrest overlaps this section here with your 12-volt outlet. And I'm going to assume that this will just come out. So yeah, basically I'm gonna go get some tools. We'll empty this out and let's get moving forward. Guys, let's continue here. We got 10mm bolts that hold this armrest function down here. There's 4 of them. Oh, I guess there's nothing. Oh, sorry, there's only 2 of them. That tricked me. 2 of them, we take those out. Now I can see we've got another power outlet there, and there's probably a plug underneath of it if I had to guess. It plugs into that. We're gonna take these screws out too. I was just curious to see. Yeah, maybe this overlaps. Like these screws go into this piece. Let's take them out. And we try not to drop anything down in there. I mean, it's not going to matter because we're going to take it all out anyways, but sometimes little screws go in beside the carpet and they can be difficult to get out, so. All right, so it's just some pressure clips there and there. And this whole thing hopefully should lift out. Like I say, there's probably a wiring harness that's attached. There is too. This back section off. There's like these buttons here, these covers. I wonder if this whole back piece comes off. All right guys, so there's these little covers. They look like little buttons. The covers pop off and you'll see there's sort of a latch that does hold the covers on. I'm gonna remove these 4 screws out of this console to take the back of it off. And I'm hoping that gives me access to the connector that plugs in to that 12-volt outlet. All right, I'm just sneaking the little flathead screwdriver in. I'm hoping I can get this out. I mean, you think this would cut. So I still can't get that back plate off. I am now taking the lid off to see. Okay, now this will come out, maybe. Oh, it was just stuck on there the whole time with pressure clips. 6 of them, now you know. And not even screws in from the side? Nope, not even screws. All I had to do was rip and pull. But see, we don't want to break things. This is why you watch the video, so now you know. Okay, so really all you had to do was grab and pull that thing. And then you can yank this off. This is your 12-volt outlet plug. Once that's off, then you can remove this. You didn't even have to take all those screws out. Okay, continuing to take more screws out now. Now there's these ones, and then you'll also notice that there's some black ones that are up by the gas pedal. And there are a couple more of those little covers that I just had to deal with, and they're located even further up. I'm just going to use my little pocket screwdriver. And it might be a little tricky to see, but if you look way up in there, these might actually be like push pins. Sorry, not little covers. There. So the center pops out, and that comes out. Take a little screw out. So this lower piece must be all of this. Now, is this one? No, so this one doesn't have the little clip like it did on the other side. Okay, let's see. Oh, I can like kind of sneak these in. Will that just unclip? Yeah, it does. Just got to be rough with it. Okay, so I'm guessing the other side's going to be the same way. We got to take that out now. Just pull it. Oh, this feels like it's going to break when you're pulling it. But you just got to be real rough with it. Big screw and 2 little screws. So I believe if we take just the big one out, yeah, this whole assembly is going to want to come. And I believe the 2 little ones hold these on. So I don't think we have to take them off, but I'll do it just for the video, just to be sure. So many screws. If you guys want, it might be a good idea to get like a little organizer just to set them all aside, or just wing it. Up to you. All right, we'll take this one out now. All right, so there's a plastic push pin that holds the carpet in right in front of the seat. I just undid that, and it looks like the carpet also loops onto this in here, which is like next to impossible to get your fingers into. Good job. Figured I'd just pull that down a little bit to see if there's anything else we're missing. Yeah, that is for this lower piece. All right, so this is kind of silly. There's actually screws that are down underneath of this faceplate to get this whole thing out. So I guess we have to take the faceplate off. We have no choice. Unscrew the shift knob. somehow, see, we'll show you the old shifter, or the new shifter, sorry. But you can see, so this is the front of it. There's a couple tabs that you got to press in on to get this to lift up. And same with back here, somehow. All right, so here's what we're gonna try to do. There's one here, here and here, and we're gonna try to take that whole piece off. Just have to watch out for this thing here, that we get around it properly. And also there's a light bulb that lights up your indicators. So there's a little light bulb, it's just turn and pull. Pretty simple. So let's see if we can get this off. Okay, now we're pretty much pulling up on that plunger thing that I showed you in the beginning. Oh, that's the shift interlock, but that's what that is. Now we gotta see if we can get this side up. Yeah, man, it just pulls up on this whole thing. This is a mess, man. All right, so we're just gonna try to sneak these screws out. I don't know how I'm gonna put them back in. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Little pocket screwdriver. Okay, there's one. We'll just let it sit there. See if there's another one on this side. Yes, there is. All right, so that's the last two that we needed to do to get this out. Remember, this is still plugged in, and it looks like you're still gonna have to pop this off because this sits underneath of the faceplate. Now, remember, we got to get this light bulb unplugged too, but it's like stuck in there. So I'm gonna just have to try to like finagle it out of there. I'm sorry, I can't really show you. I sort of went underneath of this piece here. When you go to get the light bulb out, go underneath and twist it with 2 fingers. Okay. Yeah, so let's get this off, unplug this. So yeah, the faceplate of the shifter and this housing have to come out together as an assembly, because you can't get this off, you can't pull this piece out because it's wrapped down underneath of here like this, right? All right, we need to just remove, there's a screw here, 1 or possibly 2, maybe this one's missing, let me know in the comments. And then there's another one over here that needs to come out, and we're going to take this whole outer case off. So they're all Phillips. Guys, this screw on the other side, on the passenger side, was already out. So that's why I was curious, is there supposed to be a screw in here? No, maybe not. All right, looks like we got a wiring harness. That's got to come out. We can use a trim tool if you want. Might be able to just pop one side out. And we got a trim tool, I think. We got it. Okay. Now, all right. So we got a bunch of wiring harnesses to disconnect off of this thing, and then we got a bunch of these 12mm bolts. So fairly simple. See this little square right here? We push down on that. Should be able to disconnect this. Hopefully, maybe not. Just be careful. This is like razor sharp. There we go. Okay. See if we can get these off now. Sorry guys, should have grabbed the trim tool right from the beginning. Get these on AliExpress for 5 cents. Oh, didn't mean that. Just slip underneath of this one. Okay, that looks like all there is just those ones. We also have the shift cable as well to do. It just pops out and then over. Looks like we have to have that in the park position to disconnect it. Just slides off like so. Alright, then this thing should just come out of here. Okay. There we go, shifter out. Look at all the money. Oh, there's another nickel in there. Hold on. Okay, we just line that up. Make sure our wiring is clipped in properly. Looks good. Plug this in. Beauty. Let's get these 4 bolts started. We're gonna hand start all of them and then tighten them down with the impact gun. Now, what we want to do, we're going to put this other cover on, seeing as we had to take them off. This one looks better than the junkyard one we got, but we're going to put this on and then we're just basically going to turn the key on and make sure everything functions the way it's supposed to function. So, we got this slidey piece in here, right? That's the cover that you see in here that moves with the gear shifter. And then underneath of the main cover, there's this other circular piece that slides around. So we've got to line those up so that we can put this thing on. Kind of like that. Right? And then, now I'm just putting this on because I just want to make sure everything lights up and everything's working the way it's supposed to work. And then remember, we got to put the big housing piece on and then the trim goes on top of it. So I'm just temporarily installing this. Maybe I gotta put this in the neutral to get that in yet. Make sure all of our things are lined up. There, that's on there. I'm just gonna stick the light bulb in there. Like that. And then turn the key. Alright. So it didn't even need the shift interlock, which I was afraid of. It could be the brake switch or the wiring, but we just threw this in here to see if that did it. Power, 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 power. All right, so we got power to all of those.
So what are we looking at here?
So fuse number 12 I think it was, is the shift interlock solenoid power feed fuse. Oh, there is also another one over here. Nothing. Nothing. All right, so we just wanted to see if we had power going to our shift interlock solenoid. So it goes, you'll see the two wires go to the interlock solenoid, they're red and black. But when it gets to this connector over here, it changes colors to brown and green. So we're going to find those. And I think the next thing I'm gonna do is basically find out. So those two wires go right to the fuse block according to the wiring diagram, but I'm sure that solenoid works. I could feed it power and ground just to make sure, but I'm sure it works. I just want to make sure. See, I think we got a broken wire somewhere. If we have a good fuse, then there must be a broken wire. And what I'm going to do is unplug this, and we're going to test for power and ground and see if our ground is good and if our power is good. And if the ground's good and the power's not good, we know that we got a power issue. If the fuse is working, then we know the wire's got to be broke somewhere. And vice versa, if we have power but we don't have ground, we know that there's a broken wire somewhere, or we're losing ground somewhere. So, all right, so we're in the brown wire right now, which is supposed to be our power feed. And just key on, not pressing on the brake pedal, we have 12.1 volts. So if we switch over to the ground side, which is our green wire. Oops, I didn't get it in the thing. Also 12.1 volts, which means that our ground somewhere is dead. Now, this is probably a ground side controlled circuit, which means that it feeds that solenoid power at all times when the key's on, and the computer just closes the ground when you put your foot on the brake pedal. So it's possible that it needs, I'll have to check basically from the computer to here now. It might need a computer. All right guys, so here's the other end of the circuit. You see this connector that's up in the top left corner? It has it has like a section in it in the center that's got a green wire in it, and then the wire that's beside it is a gray wire. So those are our wires that are coming from this connector over here. And the green wire is our ground, and the gray wire is our power feed that's fused by a 7.5 amp fuse. So we know that we had power on there, so our fuse is good. We've got power coming out of this power distribution block to the solenoid, and then coming back to our same connector. So if I go in to that green wire, you can see my power probe lights up red. Sorry, you can't really see because there's so much stuff in the way. But if I give that ground, that's basically replicating me putting my foot on the brake pedal. Okay, so this module isn't commanding the circuit to be grounded to turn that on. So the next thing I'm going to check is our brake pedal switch, and just check. Now, when you put your foot on the brake lights do light up. So I just want to see if there's maybe two separate circuits, one for the brake lights and the other one's for the interlock switch, which would be stupid, but we're going to go look into that now. We'll be right back. Okay. All right, so this brake switch has 4 wires coming out of it. The wiring diagram only shows 2 wires coming out of it, and it says that it uses dark green and light green, and it basically only uses those 2 circuits, or that one circuit for your brake lights and for this. So dark green and light green, all it is just power goes through. It's a simple switch, open and close. If your foot's on the brake, it closes, or it opens. Yeah, if your foot's on the brake, the switch opens. Foot off the brake, switch closes. And that's how that module, keep calling it a module because it is, the one with all the fuses in it. That's how that module knows if your foot's on the brake or not. When your foot's on the brake, the lights come on and your shift interlock solenoid opens up. And when your foot's off the brake, the lights go off and that stops working. So our switch is good, and we know that our brake lights work. So that thing's receiving a signal, but this isn't working. We've checked all the wiring. Basically what the diagnostics is boiled down to is something's wrong inside this module.
That module's not sending.
That module is not grounding out the circuit to energize that solenoid. So all I'm going to do now is wire up a relay to basically, when your foot is on the brake, it will open, or it will close a switch and then basically ground out the solenoid to turn it on. So gonna have to figure this one out, but we'll get something wired up so that we don't have to spend $200 for a used module plus a bunch of time. I want to get this thing fixed up and ready to go for the guy. All right guys, so we have successfully installed a bypass, and all we did to install that was just use a relay. And I will show you a wiring diagram in a minute, but here's the relay right here. And all we basically have is a signal, which we stole from the light green wire on the brake switch. And then we have 2 grounds and our input, which is going to be the green wire from that connector up at the top. And basically how this works is when the key is on and you step on the brake pedal, the brake pedal switch closes. And when the brake switch closes, it lets 12 volts go through the switch, which then tees off and goes to this module to actually turn on the brake lights, but also it runs up this yellow wire into the relay to energize the coil of the relay. And by doing that, it pulls the switch closed in the relay to complete the ground circuit for the shift interlock solenoid. So let's go over to the board and look at a wiring diagram that I wrote out for you guys, just to hopefully wrap your head around things a little better. Guys, so basically everything starts at this ECU fuse box. That's the box that we've seen with all the fuses in it. And we've got, with the key on, 12 volts that comes out to feed the brake switch. And it's normally open, which means the switch is not closed inside until you put your foot on the brake. So with your foot off of the brake, on the other side of the switch coming out, we have 0 volts that goes back to the computer. Now, we also have our shift solenoid that's in the shifter, right? That's the thing that's not working. Also have from the ECU box, 12 volts that's supplied, and it's sitting at the shift solenoid waiting to be used up. Now, instead of this just returning back to the ECU box where the ECU would then, control the circuit to turn this on, we are going to control the circuit ourselves because this isn't doing its job. So what we do is we take a relay, and it's very simple. When the brake switch is closed, when you put your foot on the brake, power is then able to travel through the switch, and it goes up into the fuse box to power the brake lights, but we've also spliced into it with another wire. So now power goes into the relay, it goes across this coil and to ground, where it completes the circuit and turns this coil on. Now this coil, when it's turned on, it creates a magnetic field which pulls this switch closed and completes the circuit. So that 12 volts is now able to flow through the shift solenoid and through the relay to ground, which then powers up our shift solenoid coil. So it's pretty basic, but I know for a lot of you guys out there, you're probably questioning how to do it. But it's pretty simple if you really think about it. So that's how we did it, and yeah, everything seems to work great now. So we are going to just put everything back together. is, remember, we need, I think, is it a little bit of torque? I can't remember. All right, so set that aside, and then we got to put, I don't know which one to put on first, I forget. All right, guys, we're starting off with this piece of plastic. Sort of encases the shift tower. And three screws, one down there, one on this side, one back here. So we'll get those started. We're going for it. We're doing this one. We got a 12-volt outlet we got to plug in. I can't even see anything because my hands get in the way. So, the carpet. Man, what is happening? Right, and that screw goes in here. Alright, gotta do the other side. Alright, now we gotta put these screws in here, 4 of them. Now, got our holes all lined up. This thing just wants to keep falling everywhere. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, then, oh, that's right. So we put it in neutral by the looks of things in order to get this thing to slip down in there.
If you're on a hill, make sure e-brake's pulled.
Yeah. And then we gotta get this other, remember the, I might have to come over to your side to look in there. Right, because then this thing has to get down there. Can we move it? All right, we're just detaching this. You can see, so the clips are on the park side of it, and then it just folds out and comes off. It hooks underneath of these two, which go here and here. And then we can install this piece because we need to have this off so we can get the screws that are in here and here, right? So, see if we can finagle this thing down in here. There. So neutral, make sure this side gets in, hooks in. And then also too, your shift interlock button, there's like a fork that's got a hook underneath of that. Trust me, have some patience, take your time, you'll get it. And then we got to put this piece on, right? Plug that in. And we can do the light bulb right now. And that piece, we put our 4 screws in. Okay, once we get those 4 screws in, we got to put these side ones back in, which I believe are also so. Alright. Make sure your carpet's all situated properly. I can see I got some wiring here that's supposed to go under that. Somewhere. Looks like it's probably going in here. Does that make sense? Goes there. Then we... Alrighty. Yeah, so that's for the 4-wheel drive button. That's what that's for. We also have to put these screws in as well. Now, we've got our 10mm fine threaded bolts. Those are going to go in back here. Okay, then we'll snap the back onto that. Make sure the fit and finish is all good. You can see our carpet needs to go underneath of this. Wonderful. All right, we gotta hook the... black screws on the outside, guys. That's the model with this car. Everything's black on the inside, so if you have any black screws or clips, they go on the outside. Oh, this is WeatherTech mat keeps getting in the way. Something's not right. And don't forget your little carpet clips. They go in there. I think that's pretty much it. We're just gonna make sure everything works, but yeah, hopefully this video helps. Sorry it's so long, but there's a lot of pieces. And yeah, if your shift interlock solenoid doesn't work, there's a fix for you instead of buying the module. Pretty simple to wire in a relay, but for those of you at home that don't know electrical, I can understand it's probably a little bit over your head. So feel free to ask me any questions in the comments and give the video a thumbs up if it helped. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.